Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today's guest has an amazing story. After Jenn Greenhut was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer, she turned her story into a story of love and positivity, and the lessons learned from her story led her to create Zero Negativity, which promotes positivity through accessories. So Jenn's story has been featured, her story and products have been featured on places like the Hallmark Channel, and she donates part of her proceeds to UCLA's Johnson Cancer Center Foundation for cancer research. So we're going to be talking to her about her story and everything that she's up to and been up to, and some of those accessories out there. So if you know of anybody that might be going through cancer, the same thing that Jenn is going through, listen up. Make sure they get this episode so they might be able to take advantage of some of the accessories she has. So Jenn, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Curtis, for having me.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, a little bit about myself. Yes, I was diagnosed with stage 4 triple negative breast cancer. Never had heard of breast cancer triple negative before, and I learned it was the most aggressive kind of breast cancer. And it came out of the blue. I was a very healthy yoga teacher who had been trying to have a baby. I had been married for about a year and a half to my husband, and I was dreaming of a family and having a couple kids, and I was so excited for this new life ahead. And I was thrown with this crazy diagnosis of stage 4 cancer and given a 12% chance of surviving past 5 years. So it was a crazy introduction to an amazing chapter that happened in my life. And this is all 9 years ago. But it started, that was the transformational chapter, and I had to figure out how to stay alive. And it's interesting because what I learned about my life was that I had been growing up and dreaming and wanting and looking for things that I didn't have in my life. Like, for example, I started very young as a gymnast in New York City, grew up wanting to be in the Olympics. I left home at 14 to train for the Olympics in gymnastics. I did really well. I was on the United States national team. But gymnastics, the culture of gymnastics is really hard. I learned how not to cry. I learned that I was only as good as my scores. And I also learned that weighing 88 pounds was the perfect weight for me. So I grew up in a very structured, controlling environment that I brought into my adult life. I also grew up wanting and knowing I was going to be a mom and have 4 kids. I used to write in a journal to my adult self, asking about my kids. I wanted to know their names. I wanted to know who my husband was. I was so excited to be my future self. So I wasn't miserable at all, but I realized I had always been wanting what I didn't have. So I'll fast forward a few decades. I meet my husband, Larry, and we get married. We fall in love, and everything looks amazing. Finally, I'm going to have what I've always wanted. So we jump right into IVF and we try to have a baby. And after 3 rounds, I failed every round. And I was so depressed. I felt like everything I had worked for, believed, tried, nothing worked. And what was wrong with me? Maybe it was me that was the problem. Maybe life hates me. Maybe I'm just not worthy about having my dreams come true. But I was answering the question, why is this happening to me? And getting the answer, Jen, you failed. You're just a loser. And I lived in this state for about 6 months of just really trying to understand like what was my life going to look like without the thing that I had wanted my entire life. Then I'm diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Again, asking the same question, oh my gosh, what is happening to me? Why is this happening? What did I do wrong? And the answer was coming to me that, Jen, life hates you. You don't deserve to be here anymore. You failed at your purpose, so let's kick you out, get you out of here. And that felt so true to me, that answer. And it also was like, this is unacceptable. I don't want to die. I got to figure out how to live. So the only thing I could think of doing was to pray. I started praying and bargaining, basically, like, please let me live. Please show me to the right doctor. And I promise I'll do anything and everything to give back. So I put it out there. I had 3 different oncologists to meet, 3 different hospitals. The first 2 meetings didn't feel right. It was scary. Like it was basically the same kind of treatment, aggressive, and then you're going to die eventually. Third doctor, I remember feeling safe right away. This was at UCLA. And he goes over the treatment plan. You know, he's not promising me anything. He just says, we're going to treat you with chemo. We're going to then have a surgery. Then we're going to have radiation. Then we're going to have more surgeries. And then he said, we're going to have to remove your ovaries. I'm so sorry, Jen, you're never going to have a baby. But then he said, if I had gotten pregnant, that pregnancy would have killed me. And that was the moment that it felt like my entire life was flashing before my eyes. And life that I thought was punishing me was actually saving me. And the life that I thought was not working out had been working out perfectly. And if everything was working out perfectly, then everything still is working out perfectly. And I walked out of that office seeing cancer as a gift. And then I was going to enjoy the process as much as I could to go through this journey and see where it leads me. And if I am going to die, I'm going to make every day from here on out the best day that I can, because life is such a gift and it might be away, gone in a couple years. I want to make the most of every moment that I have. So that intention led me on like a different mindset. So my mind, instead of trying to figure out why is this happening to me and figure out all the answers that are negative, I started asking, why is this happening for me? How is this making me better? What am I supposed to learn? And I started just looking at my life in a different way. I started noticing everything that I had, which was amazing, like my family, my friends, a meal, shelter, just everything was perfect the way it was. I went into treatment. I didn't want to see cancer or chemotherapy as poison. I looked at it like this is medicine that was designed for me to heal me, to help me live. I'm going to love this chemotherapy and surrender to the medicine. I'm going to trust my team of doctors. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and my life is in their hands. And I'm going to love whatever I can. Gratitude, love, and trust. Those were the superpowers that sort of became my compass. And I can't tell you what happened, but I can tell you I was cancer free in 4 months. And immediately I was like, how am I going to share this with everybody who wants to possibly overcome something so traumatizing and actually make it work for you? So it turned out stage 4 cancer was the best thing to happen to me. And that was exactly the mindset I had going into it because I really wanted it to be. And that's kind of how powerful I believe our minds are. And also, I believe when we choose to say yes to the journey, whatever it is, no matter how hard it is, we're gonna come out on the other side wiser, stronger, knowing something that is worth sharing. So that was the inspiration behind a company, behind a foundation, behind a book that I wrote with my husband called Everyone Needs a Larry. We wrote about the patient experience and the caregiver experience, two sides to one crazy story. And it really opened up something with both of us about the caregiver and that side, and how nobody really talks about the caregiver, and the caregiver has such a hard job because they have to keep all their emotions inside, and they just have to show up and do everything that the patient needs. So that book was honoring the caregivers out there. Uh, and shall I keep going?
Well, what I want to ask, and shout out to all the caregivers out there, what I want to ask is, how did your husband take your diagnosis, and how were you, dealing with the chemo? Because chemo was really hard on. I know people that have had cancer and stuff have cancer. Chemo is really hard.
Team was really hard. Yeah, you're right. And it also would never be something I would want to do again. But it also, there was like a reason for it. There was a purpose and a meaning for the hard moments, because that meant to me that it was working. And it also meant every day that that is kind of like, every round, I had 6 rounds of chemo. Every round was closer to the end. And uh, you just kind of go through every day, moment by moment, and you just keep walking. You just keep getting up, you keep walking, and one day, it's not going to last forever. It's such a short period in the whole journey. But yeah, it was hard. What was great about chemo for me was that, I told you I was a gymnast and very controlled and kept everything inside. I had no strength to keep anything inside. So I was, crying, I was screaming, I was like laughing, I was like a little baby again. I was like having every emotion coming in and out. So in a way, I learned more how to express myself with chemo, because there was like no reason to worry about anything else other than staying alive, really. My husband, on the other hand, who is a very emotional guy, he had to keep everything inside and stay strong and, make sure I'm not stressed and make sure that I have what I need. He showed up, and he talks about the fact that every caregiver, they have no idea what they're doing, but they show up, they love their patient, and they're there for whatever needs to be done. And we both were on the same team. We just had different roles to play, and we both wanted the same outcome, which is the patient staying alive and the couple being better from it all. And so we went in with that intention, and that's sort of also what happened. Like we grew, we learned, we had a lot. We overcame a lot, let's just say that. And after being married only a very short period of time, we kind of like were married only 2 years after once chemo was over, and it felt like we were, a 25-year marriage at that point.
Let's take a quick break.
In Kansas, blind vending operators are vanishing without a trace. No bodies, no witnesses, only silence. Detective Michael Miguel thought he had seen everything, but this case pulls him into something far darker, a web of institutional corruption so deep it was never meant to be uncovered. When vulnerable blind people disappear and bureaucracies close ranks, one question remains: who will fight for justice? As Miguel digs deeper, he uncovers a conspiracy reaching the highest levels of power, a system that exploits the very people it was designed to protect. The truth is buried in paperwork, hidden behind closed doors, guarded by those who have everything to lose. Some conspiracies hide in plain sight. This one hides in the dark. Iron Cane Media presents The Blind Conspiracy, written by Mikhail Battles Sr., available now on Amazon.
Well, let's talk about your company, Zero Negative. Let the listeners know what your company does and, all about it. Anything you want them to know.
Yeah, so what I learned in the chemo chair was how powerful, and it's going to sound cheesy, but how powerful love is. And I truly believe part of my quick healing was that I was sending love to my cancer cells. I was talking to them. I was saying thank you for coming and thank you for going, because I believed they were coming to show me the message that I needed to love myself. I had been so hard on myself my entire life, calling myself a failure, like really just talking to myself like nobody would ever want to be talked to. And that's not okay. So I think the cancer cells were coming to say, Jenn, you need to love yourself, and that is the most important thing. So, okay, so love, wanted to spread love. I wanted to spread that idea that love is so much more powerful than anything else. I also wanted to give back to cancer research. I was so grateful for this team of doctors and the research that has come so far. And I wanted to be a part of the team that continued to give back and help them find a cure. So the idea came from that moment in the chemo chair. I had a friend who they had a bag in their closet and it said love. And I thought, what a great idea to make a chemo bag, like a tote bag that says love, and every bag sold would be able to give back to cancer research. What do I want to call my company? Well, my cancer is called triple negative. Triple negative sounds like a death sentence. Like, ew, triple negative. It just sounds so dark. What's the opposite of triple negative? Zero negative. There is no negative. There is only positive. There's only light. So that was how I formed the name of the company. And I put love, comma, zero negative, because I believed I was sending these tote bags, sending love through this tote to everyone who wanted to be a part of this mission of spreading love and giving back. So that is the company, Love Zero Negative. The accessories have become more than just tote bags. It's accessories that are crossbody bags. The crossbody bags can be fanny packs, they're clutches, they're straps that say love that you can kind of put on any crossbody. And though every sale gives back to the foundation now that I started, called the Zero Negative Foundation. And the Zero Negative Foundation supports patients and caregivers and cancer research, because those three those three people in a sense are going to be the team that can become cancer free or not. So we want to empower the patient with the sense that they can look at their cancer journey with a belief that they're not being punished. This actually is for them to heal, an opportunity to grow and to transform into a better version of them. We want to support the caregivers and give them a community that says, we see you, we know what you're going through, and we are in a process right now of raising money for the caregivers. And we have a program that basically will give grants to families that need help, whether it's groceries or gas or therapy, childcare. Families sometimes need help when they're going through something so serious. So that program is what we're raising money for right now. And we also have a chemo love tote program, which is basically we send chemo tote bags, the tote bags that say love. We fill them with items like a water bottle, a journal, a book, cashmere scarf, things that keep patients comfortable when they're going through treatment. And it's our way of cheering them on and saying, you got this. We're behind you. We're praying for you. We're thinking about you. And yeah, we have a fundraiser every year that we end up giving back to UCLA's Johnson Cancer Center Foundation. And the fundraiser is at the Comedy Store because we want to laugh and have fun as we're raising money. So this year we don't have the exact date yet, but it's going to be in November, and we're starting to put it together.
So talk about the life lesson that cancer taught you.
If I had to break it down into one lesson, it would be that life is always working out. And everything that happens to us is happening to guide us to our true nature, which is love. And we sometimes lose the knowing of who we are by all the trauma that we have to face and all the fear and uncertainty. And sometimes it takes a really hard situation to learn like the gifts that life has. But true superpowers that were ignited in me, love, gratitude, and trust. So that would be the life lesson, and that I trust life so much more. I think the life lesson is to enjoy life, to find your joy and to find your friends, have more fun, and never forget that life is a gift. And no matter what we go through, life is still a gift.
What advice would you give couples or women who have been diagnosed or they're going through cancer right now?
I would give them the advice that I would just sort of want them to feel that it sucks. I'm so sorry that anyone has to go through the journey because it's not fun. But life is so much better on the other side. And try to think of it like, you were chosen for this journey. You were chosen for this journey to learn whatever you're supposed to learn, to heal whatever you're supposed to heal, to become a better version of yourself that you are going to be so grateful to be. And you're going to look back and you're going to say, I would never have been this person without that cancer journey. So that's what I would want anyone going through cancer to understand, that when you're on the other side, and when you can look back and see how strong you are and see how there's a dot that was connected to get you to this version of you. So just keep checking off the days and know that every day is a day closer to the end.
Well, you are, I know you did gymnastics, but you're also a singer, songwriter. So talk to the listeners about that.
Well, I have to say, I love singing. I love songwriting. I believe like I'm a writer at heart, and I used to love writing lyrics and songs. It is a past life in a way. I play my guitar at home, I sing, but I'm not pursuing that career anymore because I just feel so passionate about, Zero Negative, the foundation and the company, and my speaking career. I'm doing a TED Talk in June that I have to go to Texas in June. I'm very excited. But it had to take a back seat because, I changed. I changed with this cancer thing.
Well, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Well, I'm going to be having the fundraiser in November. I would stay tuned for anyone who lives in Los Angeles. It's such a fun event. We have real comedians, real funny ones come to the Comedy Store, and we just laugh. And all the ticket sales go to the foundation, and we give back to cancer research. So it's a really fun event. The TED Talk is June 13th. I know that most people probably won't be going to Grand Prairie, Texas, but I hope after June, it takes about a couple months for the TED Talk to be released. And then I think I would love just for people to keep an eye out and watch it and share it. And that would be a great way to get more eyes on the message. And then check out the Zero Negative Foundation. The site is zeronegativefoundation.org. We're raising money for caregivers for our microfunding program. And we're also, if you have a friend going through cancer, you're able to go on the site and donate a certain amount of money, and we send them a chemo love tote. So we also have a book called Everyone Needs a Larry. If you know of someone or a couple going through something like cancer or a really tough time, this is a book that is fun. It's has mistakes, it has lessons, it has our quirks of a couple going through something that they had no idea what they were doing and how they did it. So it's a good book that could hopefully inspire other couples to be better as they go through something challenging. And that's on Amazon.
Two questions for you. That zero, is that the number zero or the word
Yes.
zero?
Oh no,
Okay.
the word zero negative.
So ZERO. Okay.
ERO negative. And the company is called Love Zero Negative. The website is lovezeronegative.com. You could jump on the newsletter. We have a newsletter every week, and I kind of talk about things of about life and getting through life and things that I'm learning, things that I'm seeing, what I'm listening to, that kind of stuff. And it's a great community that is just kind of like part of the whole mission of moving through life in the best way possible.
So how difficult was it to write that book with your husband?
It was really difficult to write it with him. It wasn't difficult to write it. um, it was hard to write it with him, but I'll have to say I probably wrote about 80% of it. And he's an amazing talker, but he found that writing was not his thing. And I was able to get a lot out of him by like asking certain questions and then having him answer sort of different questions. So I would be able to probe him on things and help his writing get out there. But it was fun, it was challenging, it was hard. I'm so glad that we had an editor helping us through that helped get the best out of us. And I had also been journaling all through my treatment, all through the journey. So it was really cathartic for me and it came out really quickly for me. And plus, like I said, like I really feel deeply that I'm a writer at heart. So that's kind of like my love language.
We'll close us out with some final thoughts, maybe if that was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Any final thoughts? Wow. Well, I'm really grateful you had me here. And I just have a thought of just reminding everyone to understand, never forget that life is a gift every day that we get to wake up. And stay present, stay kind, and it sounds so cheesy, but these truly are like what helps light up the world by keeping our light on.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, zeronegativefoundation.org and lovezeronegative.com. Be sure to check out everything that Jenn is up to. If you're close to Texas, June 13th, go to that TED Talk. And if you're close to California, Los Angeles, go to that fundraiser in November. Pick up the book. If you know of anybody that's going through what Jenn and her husband went through, follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Also, visit www.curveball337 for all things living the dream. And leave us a review, drop us a line, leave us a voicemail. Never know, you might even get a shout out and get it played on the show. Share the website and the show to everybody you know. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Jenn, thank you for all that you do. And thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Curtis, for having me.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.